What is up, guys? Chris here for GQ37. It has been a minute. I'm sorry. I expected to do this video a little sooner, but been extremely busy. In addition to my normal busy of having 2 kids and 2 jobs, I'm also remodeling a house. So there's that. But I wanted to bring this video to you, kind of comparing the QX70 now that I've had it for a little over a month, and comparing it to the G37 that I came from and the FX35. As you may have seen in the previous videos, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I had a 2012 G37 Coupe 6-speed, and I had fixed up a 2008 FX35 on the channel and brought it back to life with the FX35 project, or Project FX35 as I called it, and sold both of those to get this 2017 QX70 Limited. And I have to say, I love it. There's so much to love about this vehicle. Obviously the looks, it looks great. Infiniti changed the game with the crossover segment back in 2003 when they launched the first generation FX35, FX45. It is an amazing looking vehicle, even by today's standards. The first gen. The second gen took it up a notch with the 2009 to 2017 body style, and I think it's very timeless. So timeless, in fact, it looks great even by 2021 standards. And so many other auto manufacturers are kind of copying and letting that design overflow into their inspiration. And you can see it everywhere, but a few examples would be the new electric vehicle from Ford, the Mustang Mach-E. Despite the name Mustang in the title, it's a pretty sleek looking vehicle, but no doubt has that Infiniti FX kind of silhouette to it. Also the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, that one definitely has a little bit in it, as well as the new up and coming Genesis GV70 that comes out in 2022. That has it. Porsche Cayenne, of course, has been a competitor over the years, and also the new SUV coming from Aston Martin, the DBX. That kind of has those vibes as well. So many of them with the sloping roofline, definitely very sporty. And what can I say? It's a good looking vehicle. So aside from that, I enjoy the driving dynamics. There's a lot of things that I'm enjoying having instead of my G37. Now, my G37 was a great car. It was a fun sport coupe, grand touring, fun to drive car. But for my lifestyle and being a musician, which I'm actually on my way to a corporate event right now, and I've got my equipment in the back, and it's just something I just wasn't able to do very often with my G37, unless I was playing a festival gig where I didn't have to provide sound. But most of the private events that I do now, I have to provide sound for, and so I find myself always taking my wife's SUV and leaving her and the kids with my sports coupe. So this just makes a lot more sense for my lifestyle, and being able to drive this everywhere I go. And I love showing up and unloading, and it looks good because so many of my clients are like upper crust, and and they do have Porsches and BMWs and Land Rovers and things like that. And I'm not saying that this is that, but especially in the black trim, it's very classic. It does not look out of place in those parking lots and at those houses and things like that. So I'm enjoying driving it. It has enough space for the stuff that I need to haul. I do enjoy sitting up a little higher as opposed to my G37, which of course was always down, and then I lowered it so it was down some more. But what I mean by that is that I can see around other vehicles if I need to pass, unless they're a bigger SUV than this. But for most cars, I can see around them, and that is nice. Also, I'm not sitting down and getting into the car. That guy was going really fast. That just passed me. Anyway, I'm able to just slide even when I get in the car instead of sitting down and then having to crawl up out of it. Not something I noticed when I had the car, but now that I don't have the car and not doing that, I do like just the ingress, egress, getting in and out of the vehicle. The VQ37, even though it's not a 6-speed, the 7-speed automatic does a good job. The power plant is still there. I definitely feel it. It's definitely heavier than the G37. It's not as fast, but for an SUV, it's plenty fast for what I need. I wanted an FX50 because those actually do feel fast, right? But I couldn't justify going back to a 2009 with 120, 150 plus thousand miles when I had a 2012. I wanted something at least as new, if not newer, than what I had. And so I was very fortunate to find this 2017 with 36,000 miles on it, and feels like it has a lot of life in it. Of course, the FX50 was killed in 2014 whenever the QX70 5.0, of course, they changed the name. Let's talk about that. The FX line confuses a lot of people. So it was an FX35 from 2003 to 2012. You could also get the FX45. Sorry, this is a really bumpy road. You could also get the FX45 during the 2003 to 2008 model year run. In 2009, you could get FX35 or FX50 with the 5.0 liter, 390 horsepower. And then in 2012 was the last year of the FX35. The 2013 was the FX37. They finally decided to put the 3.7 liter in here from the G37 to 370Z. And they did that. They called it FX37 for the 2013 model year. And then Infiniti said, nah, that's not right, and let's go back to the Q names that we started with. And so then they changed it in 2014 to a QX70, just to confuse people even more. And you could get it in that year at the 3.7 liter or the 5.0 liter. That was the last year you could get the V8. And that's when they also started putting the engine badge on the side of the fender, 3.7 or 5.0. Even though you could only get the 5.0 in 2014, it looked like if you got the 3.7, you got the lesser engine. All the other years, even though that was the only engine offered in the States, you could get the diesel overseas. But I don't like that trim on mine, and I don't know. It's just extra chrome. I don't know. I think it's kind of hokey because I don't need anybody to know what engine I have in here. If they know about these cars, they know, and if they don't, they probably don't care. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that right now. There we go, that's better. Anyway, I do love the engine. It has plenty of power. It's not as fast as an FX50, but it's plenty of power for what I need. I do wish it had paddle shifters though. So I do plan on changing that. I plan on adding that. That mainly comes with the sport models. Not so much the limiteds, but that's an easy mod that I plan on adding later on. I think it would be beneficial just when I do want to pass somebody, I can downshift real quick and be ready, or versus sliding the gear shifter into sport mode or something. But otherwise, I think paddle shifters are kind of silly on a lot of SUVs, but this one actually is fun to drive. It's rear-wheel drive, it handles well. I can see the appeal, so I'll probably add that at some point. Other things that I do like about this vehicle is the limited trim. Now, I wanted the limited because I wanted it to be one as new as I could get, which they only made it in 2017, the limited trim. It was kind of the final farewell to the FX series. And I also wanted it because it has the cool front end, the daytime running lights. I like the 21-inch wheels that come with it. I like the clear tail lights, and the two-tone interior is kind of neat, even though I wish it was red. But they didn't start doing the red thing until the Q60 Coupe, like the red sport, that kind of body style. And I see that they're doing that with some of the new upcoming QX55. I think they're doing the red interior as an option, so I may do this at some point. My G37 didn't have red interior when I got it. That is one thing I loved about it. That's one of the main things I miss about it. So I may do that at some point with this, but otherwise, I'm digging it. So I do like the limited trim. I love the wheels, the 21-inch wheels. They normally come with graphite gray. The previous owner apparently painted these black, but I like that. I think it really adds to the looks of the vehicle. It makes them look aftermarket, and I'm a big fan of that, and I'm going to keep them black. Now I'll talk about a couple things that I'm not as crazy about. Would be the one big thing I noticed right away, and this was kind of an accident, but this is my fault, but it's, in case you're looking at one of these, this is good to know. So not all of these limiteds have the tech package. I assume that they did because all the ones I was looking at, aside from this one apparently, had the tech package. So I thought that was just kind of a standard thing. If you got the limited, you had you had everything there. That's not the case. So I looked at 3 or 4 different ones of these around the country, and they all had the tech package. But when I came down to this one, I was saving like $8,000 from, there was one closer to me. It was only 2 hours away, but they wanted $34,000 for it. It had 35,000 miles on it. I got this one for $26,000 with 36,000 miles on it, but it was down in Fort Myers, so they brought it to me. They only charged me $450 to bring it to me, so I thought it was worth it. But lo and behold, it didn't have the tech package on it when I got it. And what is the tech package? That has your smart cruise control, your radar adapting cruise control. It has your blind spot monitoring, your lane change assist, or keeping you in your lane. It also has the swiveling headlights, so at nighttime when you turn, the lights kind of move horizontally. All those things. My wife's Mazda Signature CX-9 has all those things, but this one doesn't. But what it does have is it does have my power folding mirrors. It has my air conditioned or cooled ventilated seats in addition to the heated. I love that. Living in Florida, the back sweat is real, so I really like having the cooled seat option. I wish that they've done that on the second gens from the get-go, but I wish they'd done that in the G37 Coupes and not just the convertibles. I think it's a really cool feature, so I'm really digging that. One thing I'm not sure if it is a upgrade for the sport models or the tech package would be the stereo. This does have the navigation, and it has the Bluetooth audio and the USB and all those things that they've been doing since like 2010. My G37 had all that, but I will say that my G37S sounded better. The Bose stereo sounded better on that. This one's clear and crisp, but the Bose subwoofer, the low end, just isn't as beefy as it was on that. No, don't get me wrong, none of these are just out of this world amazing sounding with the Bose, although my wife's Mazda CX-9 Bose Centerpoint does sound really good. Probably the best Bose system I've ever heard in a car. But anyway, in this, it just doesn't sound as good as it did in my G37, or if I'm being honest, it doesn't sound as good as the FX35 that I had either, the 2008, which it also had the tech package. It even had the smart cruise control, which is honestly the only thing I care about in the tech package is the smart cruise control. But it had a good sounding Bose system in it. For whatever reason, this one just doesn't seem to hit as hard, something. So I plan on remedying that in a future video as well. I found a subwoofer to replace the factory one. So I'm going to try that out. One other thing that I would say, this is a common complaint among the second gen owners, is the exhaust note does not quite sound as good on these as it did the first gen. The first gens just sounded better, and that's for everything. The VQ35 sounded better from the factory than the VQ37 did. I don't care if it's the 370Z, G37, the FX series, the 350Z, G35 and FX35 just sounded great from the factory. That muffler, that exhaust system paired with that VQ35 sounded amazing. But the VQ37, it's a lot more muffled, and I think the reason for that is that they have extra piping, So you had the split from the Y pipe off the cats, and then it would go to a single pipe all the way back to single entrance muffler with dual tips. And so I think it was louder because the second gen with the VQ37, you've got the split from the cats and the Y pipe, and then it goes to one like 3-inch, and then it goes back into a split with 2 resonators into a dual entrance muffler and then dual exit tips. So you've got a lot more sound deadening and time for that sound to kind of distort and dissipate. So I think that has a lot to do with why it's quieter. If you put a camera down by the muffler, it sounds good, but from the inside of the car, you really don't hear it that much. It's not as loud as the first gens, for sure. And there's ways around that. Some people have been getting the Megan Racing just axle back muffler for the G37. You can put that on and extend the tips about 4 or 5 inches, and it sounds really good. I think that sounds a lot like the first gens. It's not too loud. You don't really hear it until about 3,000 RPM, so there's no drone or anything. But that's an option. But they've been on back order for a long time due to COVID, so you can't really get those right now. Some people get the Nismo exhaust off a 370Z and just extend the piping. And so that's an option, and I may do that. It's not crazy loud either. Most Nismo owners, actually, that's one of the first things they do because it's not loud enough for them, is change that. But I don't want a loud SUV. I don't want this to be as loud as my G37. I did a lot of custom work on my G37. It sounded great, but it was a sports car. This is an SUV. I don't want to draw that much attention with it. I just want it to really sound like a first gen. I just want it to sound a little bit, have that VQ sound, but nothing crazy. So I'll probably remedy that at some point, but it's not a big deal by any means. But otherwise, I'm really happy with this vehicle. It has plenty of room for what I need. It has the power, it has the looks, and so I'll just do some subtle mods here and there. I'm probably going to put a GTR start button here. I like that red start button. I'll probably redo the interior at some point. Little things like that, but whenever I do, I will bring you guys along for the ride. If I fix this subwoofer, you know, lackluster low end that I'm talking about, then I'm going to do a video with that as well. Paddle shifters, things like that. More videos to come, but I just wanted to update you guys on how I was feeling jumping from the G37 to this, and talk about, you know, how it's been for the last month and a half with this ride. But definitely more videos to come. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks for subscribing to the channel, and let me know if you have a second gen FX or anything like that in the comments. Some of the mods that you've done, let me know that. You know, some of the things maybe you'd like to see me do or try or talk about. Let me know. I hope to see you guys soon, and I'll catch you next time.